So today what we are going to do is go back to talking about solving quadratics, all right? Quadratics, x squared. And you guys learned yesterday why they're called quadratics, because they come from the quadratic formula, right? So example one, so I've got several variety of problems in here, but they're all quadratics. So remember, before we do anything, remember this, write this down. Two answers, right, Leora? Two answers. I know. And there are two answers. Sometimes it's the same answer twice, but that's one real number, right? I'm sorry. I taught you the right thing, but it was how the question was asked. So anyway, on number one, example one, what do you think? What do you think we should try? Example one, what do you think we should do? Okay, Leora said let's bring them all over. Okay, you okay with that? Bring them over, right? So I've got an x squared. I'd have to subtract an x, right? I just have to subtract a 6. Okay. What helps me when I do these is to put a 1. I'm going to put a 1 right there. That's helpful for me, okay? And then what should we do next? What should I do next? There we go. We're going to factor. Yeah, we're going to use that F word again, right? Factor, functions, fractions. They're all F words, aren't they, Victoria? Yeah. X and X. So what times what makes 6?
3 and 2.
Yep. How about a -3 and a +2? But again, we're solving, so we don't stop there. But I like to call them my mini equations. So let's make our little mini equations, right? So I'll have an x minus 3 equals 0 and an x plus 2 equals 0, right? Plus 3, one answer is +3. Minus 2, one answer is -2, okay? Thumbs up? Okay, thumbs up, see 2, thumbs up, 3, 4, 5, 6, good. Okay, Nate, you good on this one? Okay, good. All right, example 2, what do you think? There's 2 ways to example 2. It doesn't really matter which one you want to do. Jennifer, what would you do on 2? What do you think? Okay, that's right. Somebody have an idea on number 2? Somebody besides Leora. No offense, Leora. We could factor or we could square root. It does not matter. Square root's faster, but you have to remember 2 answers. If you factor it, Simon, the cool thing about factoring is you see the 2 answers, don't you? And in fact, I'm going to show both ways. The fast way is square root, right? But you got to remember plus or minus, right? If you factor, you'll definitely see why there's 2 answers. Now, we already got the answer. I understand that. But let me show you the factoring way. Not that you would do it this way, but the factoring is kind of cool because it really shows why there's 2 answers, plus or minus 7. You can see it from there. You get the +7, -7, right? It proves the plus or minus 7, doesn't it, by factoring, okay? Thumbs up on that one? Okay, I see only these. See 3, 4, 5. Okay, Leora cannot answer any more questions, so you guys are going to have to help us out. So you can't, somebody's got to jump in, all right? Sorry, Leora. Because they will just sit there and let you answer all the questions. They will, yep. Okay, so what about example 3? What should we do? Yeah, Caleb, thank you.
You should move the 11x minus 5.
Yep. So we're going to go 2x squared. I'm going to have to subtract 11x, right? And I'm going to have to add 5 to bring everything over. Capiche? Okay. Let's use the F word. Let's factor, okay? Right. The only way you're going to get a 2x squared, the only way is with a 2x and an x. That's it. I mean, and don't worry about the 11 yet. The only way you can get a 2x squared is a 2x. Now, the only way you can get is a 5 is a 5 and 1. We've got to be careful because I'm thinking my double smiley, so I need to make it 11. So I'm thinking if I put my 5 here, can you see the 10? See the 10? And the 1 here, I'd have a 10. Remember your double smiley? I have a 10. I'd have a 1, which could give me a -11 if they're both negative, okay? All right. Okay, we're solving. Remember, we got to solve, so we got to get our many equations. 2x minus 1 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0, right? Plus 1, Divide by 2, you'll get 1/2, okay? But we need 2 answers, so we go plus 5, and we get 5. That was probably the most difficult. Of all the ones we're going to do today, that's probably the most difficult one. Okay, thumbs up on that one? Okay. All right. Example 4 is different, isn't it? It's different because the quantity is squared. So we're going to actually tackle it differently. We're going to square root. Square root, right? Square it. But don't forget 2 answers, right? 2 answers. So the square root will cancel the square, so we'll just be left with x plus 3. Square root of 16 and negative 4. So we get plus or minus 4. And again, let's remember, 2 answers need 2 equations. 2 answers need 2 equations. So let's set up our mini equations. X plus 3 equals 4 and x plus 3 equals negative 4, right? So we get 2 answers. We need 2 equations. Minus 3, one answer is 1, because I go minus 3. Minus 3, the other answer is negative 7. Well, Lima, you good? I could see it in your eyes like, Mr. Davis is easy, right? All right, example 5. Example 5, it will not factor. So let's try and solve it. Will not factor. So let's bring over the 18. X squared equals negative 18. Okay. How do you get rid of the square, Emma? How do you get rid of the square, Emma? M-A-N?
Add 18.
I subtracted 18.
Okay.
Square root it. Right. Uh-oh, we got a problem, don't we? I think we have a problem, huh? Mateys, we have a problem. So, I know, x is equal to the square root of 9, square root of 2, square root of negative 1, plus or minus, though, right? Does that make sense?
Wait, how did you just...
I'm just breaking it down, yeah. I think we have a problem because we're going to have then plus or minus 3, square roots of 2, I, right? And tomorrow we're going to talk about I a whole bunch more, but it won't be that hard because you already have a pretty good idea of how to do I. Alexis, yeah.
Why is there an I?
Great question. Square root of negative 1. Try it. Do you have a calculator handy? Here, try it. Here, seriously, try the square root of negative 1. Okay. Square root, negative 1. Good question. I wish you could. Guys, seriously, always ask questions, okay? What'd you get? Square root of negative 1. Huh? Square root. Negative 1. It's an imaginary number. You cannot take the square root of a negative number. It doesn't work. It's not a real number at all. So we call it an imaginary number. You might have missed that day. I think you missed that day. That's okay. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow, okay? Okay, everybody okay with that? Good question. Okay, number 6. What do we do about 6? It's the same type of problem, isn't it? Go minus 20, parentheses, x minus 2 squared equals negative 20, right? Square root, right? Square root. X minus 2 equals, you ready? Square root of 4, square root of 5, square root of negative 1. All right, Alexis, I'm going to put you on the spot because you know it now, don't you? What am I going to write? Okay, right. I'll wait till you're done, but tell me what I'm going to write right there.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to go x minus 2 equals 2 square roots of 5i, right? Plus 2. Now, you cannot really add the 2 because you've got i's. You can't add real numbers with imaginary, so we keep them separate, right? So our answer is just going to be 2 plus or minus 2 square roots of 5i. Okay? Thumbs up? Okay, not too hard so far. Okay, turn page. Okay, now, example 7. Okay, for me personally, I factor whenever I can, if it will factor. So I'm thinking, okay, if I can make 15 and 1, I could make a 5 and a 3, but number 7 will not factor. It won't factor. We could do completing the square, but I wouldn't do that either because then I get fractions. Yuck! But yesterday, what did we learn yesterday? Exactly. So we learned the quadratic formula. Let me write it down again. And it was negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, that's quite, and then that is always my last resort. Some kids really like it. You guys, I told you AV Stitt. You guys know AV, right? AV could not factor to save his life. When I showed the quadratic formula, he goes, "Dude, that is my method," because he didn't have to factor. He could just plug it into the quadratic formula and he can get the answer. Okay, it's interesting. Some European countries never teach factoring. They don't teach factoring at all. They go straight to this because every question can be done. But man, if you know how to factor, it's just boom, boom, answer, right? That's why I like to factor. This takes me time. So A is, in this case, 3. B is negative 4. And C is negative 5. We're just going to plug and chug, right? Plug and chug. So negative B. So I'm going to go negative 4. Right? Negative b and b is negative 4 plus or minus the square root b squared, which is negative 4 squared, minus 4, and the 4 is part of the formula. A lot of kids ask me, Mr. Davies, where'd the 4 come from? It's in the formula, okay? It's always there. 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 5, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. Okay, so we just plug it in. And we always remember a negative times a negative is a positive, right? Negative times a negative is a positive, right? A negative times a negative is positive. So negative negative makes a positive. 4 plus or minus the square root of. Negative 4 squared is positive 16. Negative times negative is positive, so I get 60. 12 times 5 is 60 plus 60 over 6. And again, if multiplication is not your thing, right? And some of you can't. No offense, I've seen it. Use a calculator, right? So I've got 4 plus or minus the square root of 74, right? Over 6. 74. 74. Can 74 be broken down? I don't know.
Isn't it 76?
Yeah.
Yeah, 76. My bad. Thank you. Yeah, boy, oh boy. There I go again. Oh, I can do at least 4 and 19. So square root of 76 on the side, little side note, is the same thing as square root of 4 times square root of 19. Little side note work here, which is 2 square roots of 19, right? So I'm going to replace that with square root of 76 is 419. So I can break this down into 4 plus or minus 2 square roots of 19 over 6. And then, as a last move, I'm going to reduce my whole numbers and rewrite it as a 2 plus or minus 1 square root of 19 over 3. Okay? Go ahead and take a look at that, okay? I just reduced it. I reduced the whole numbers, but you got to reduce all the whole numbers, right?
What'd you do, subtract? Oh, divided,
Yeah, I just reduced, just divide by 2, right? Everything?
Yeah.
All the whole numbers. Not the 19 because it's a square root, right?
or
Okay, example 8. Okay, so there are. I would like to show you before we even start. I'd like to show you a trick on this one. Okay, it does not have to be done, but aren't smaller numbers easier to work with than bigger numbers? Right? Wouldn't you agree? So what I noticed, I don't know if anybody else knows, but if I divide everything by 2, doesn't it automatically right off the bat reduce the problem? Right? You agree with that? Wouldn't that make the problem easier? I mean, if I can do that, the only reason I can do this is because it equals 0. If you divide 0 by 2, it's still going to be 0. Okay, so I'm going to just right off the bat divide by 2, makes the problem go from 2, 4, 10 into 1, 2, and 5. Easier numbers to work with. Yeah, Lachlan?
Can I ask where you got 3 from?
Yeah. If I divide both, but yeah, good question.
No,
So
I
I'm,
meant like in the original problem, like up there.
yeah, A is 3.
What was the problem said? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I see what's wrong. I was looking at the problem beneath that.
Oh,
It's 2x.
gotcha. Yeah. Here, we'll just do this. You ready? How's that? All right. So, I'm going to rewrite this problem as an x squared plus a. I'll put a 1x, 2x squared plus 5 equals 0. And you do not have to do this step. You can get the same answer I'm going to get, but you'll just have to reduce your answer, okay? But it's easier just to reduce it right off the bat. And I can do that because they're all multiples of 2 and it equals 0, okay? Just a trick. It helps me. I like smaller numbers, okay? So I know that a is 1, b is 2, and c is 5, right? There's my a, my b, and my c. And I'm going to say this again. I said it yesterday. This formula is for plugging in numbers, not x's. Don't put x's. It's numbers. A, b, and c are numbers. Don't put any x's. Leora?
Wouldn't C be -5? Oh wait. Sorry. It looked like a negative to me because the circle's on the plus.
Thank you. Please always question what I do. Okay? Because I make mistakes, don't I? Yes. Okay, so quadratic formula, right? There it is. Let me highlight that, right? There's my quadratic formula, right? And I'm going to plug things into my quadratic formula.
Highlighter.
I know I do. That's a terrible looking thing, huh? I agree. Oh, here we go. I found my highlighter. Here, how's this? Yeah, that's better.
James, do you want a highlighter or have one?
Every time I have a highlighter, you can give it to me, but Landon will find it. Okay, so, don't give it to me because then it'll just be gone. So anyway, negative b. So I'm going to go negative 2 plus or minus the square root b squared, which is 2 squared minus 4, because that's in the formula, times a, which is 1, times c, which is 5, all over 2a, which is 2 times 1. Okay? Just putting a, b, and c into the quadratic formula for a, b, and c. Okay? So I got a negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 20 all over 2. I'm looking at you because you're going to help me with the next step coming up. I teach that way. I'll make sure by the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what I is, okay? So I got a negative 2 plus or minus square root of a negative 16 over 2, right? So that's the same thing. Bring it up here. That's the same thing as a negative 2 plus or minus 4. And Alex, what's the square root of negative 1? I, right? So I'm going to put an I right there because square root of 16 is 4. And there's my I all over 2. Reduce. Can we reduce? So I'm going to reduce my whole numbers. Reduce both my whole numbers. Reduce. I get negative 1 plus or minus 2i. How's that? Now, homework, and I want you to do it. We have 20 minutes. So we have 20 minutes. There's only 8 problems there, right? 20 minutes. You can do it, all right?